All right, guys, we are live. This is CK Snarks with Bitcoin Magazine. I am sitting here with three fantastic developers who have been working super hard on an awesome full node and Lightning project, the RaspiBlitz. I want to introduce you guys to Rutzel, Frankie, and Open Arms. We have an awesome 3 hours of content prepared by these gentlemen, walking through their technology and how you can contribute and a lot of the amazing cool features that the RaspiBlitz has. So without further ado, and enough of me, let's jump straight to that. So why don't you kick it off, introduce yourself and the team, and what you guys are going to be presenting today.
Yeah, we have three parts we have prepared. So let me see. So those are the kind of three parts we want to show you. The first one is introductions in the RaspiBlitz in general, and if you want to see what is the RaspiBlitz project about in general, there's a great recording of Bitcoin Magazine where I gave you a good overview. This time we want to jump a little bit more deeper into some focused topics. And the first one is because we are very community focused, how can I contribute to the RaspiBlitz project and then be a part of this project? The second part will be done by Open Arms. That's giving us a deeper look into Join Market. That's an app that you can run on the RaspiBlitz and have your market there. And there's a third part we want to highlight a little bit like a feature set that's quite very new in development. It's doing Lightning vouchers and merchant onboarding with the RaspiBlitz, so really utilizing your RaspiBlitz for your local community. And in the beginning of that section, we will go a little bit deeper into the IP2Tor and Let's Encrypt setup that you need to do this so that people in your community can easily reach your services that you're hosting from home. So I think when we're ready, we can jump to part one, right? Okay, so first point, like contributing to the RaspiBlitz development, or first take a look because at the GitHub page, because if you want to have a quick jump, you can go to RaspiBlitz.org. It's just a simple site that gives you some quick links, and the major link there that you will find is the link to our GitHub page. And this is kind of where we coordinate, where we develop. I think it's very usual for a lot of open source projects. And as you can see, like we have a lot of people like contributing here. We have about now 1,000 people kind of start the project. So at least shortly looked at it and liked it. That's very great. We already see over 200 forks where people just maybe checked the code out and wanted to maybe poke a little bit on it. And there is, as you see, can you see on the contributor side, almost 80 people contributed stuff. It's not everybody that much stuff. It can also be a typo maybe that we fixed or something, but you can see we really like to have people integrating their ideas or realizing their ideas with the RaspiBlitz project. I think because compared a little bit to the other node projects, it's the most kind of do-it-yourself, the most open to the developer community to experiment and learn the whole setup of Bitcoin and Lightning. So the basic stuff, so to contribute to the RaspiBlitz project is to set up a GitHub account at least. So this is kind of minimum you should do. So then, and the basic stuff is like we mostly communicate on development over the issues. So there can be different kind of issues. We will take a look at them closely. So if you want to start a communication, or if you have an idea or something, this is the place to go. Create a GitHub account, and then go here to the RaspiBlitz project and then just create an issue and ask a question about something. And then we will sort it out which direction to go for you from there. So, and first of all, you don't need to be a programmer to join. So there's a lot of stuff we can offer. I think the RaspiBlitz project offers to you to also participate in here without having big programmer skills. But of course, if you're a programmer and your bash shell scripts, Unix systems or Linux system is good known to you, and maybe some Python and JavaScript skills for web front-end stuff, that's perfect setup. So if you really can contribute there. But let me show you a little bit what are the levels of contributions. So we try to make a small step in the beginning, and then maybe more and more skills you have on the programming side, you're very much invited to level up on the contribution side. So just quick overview. The first thing is just testing, report, discuss. This is a lot of benefit here. You're just running a RaspiBlitz and gives you feedback on the RaspiBlitz project itself or on the additional apps there. Then you can start to experiment because this is a very open system that feels a little bit like a Unix, Linux server in your home. So really log into the machine and get onto terminal and find your way there, experiment, install stuff, try to tweak it. So this is the experiment phase you can do. Then you can first start to turn your experiment a little bit more into an install script, just a simple shell script to structure a little bit the outcome of your experiment and make it more and more easier to have it kind of an automated script to install a service or change a setting. From there, we want to show you a little bit like how you can integrate a little bit more into the RaspiBlitz and then maybe really contribute back a script that also other people can use. This is then the part where you form it into a config script. And then if this kind of matured a bit and feels good for everybody, then we can more and more integrate it also in the kind of user visible parts, the Ssh Gui, or even then later on what will be a little bit more future out view to integrate it into a web GUI for the RaspiBlitz. So let's go through this different levels we see here and give you an overview how to contribute. Again, the basic intro is testing, report, discuss. So you just run a RaspiBlitz and you try out the apps that are running on the RaspiBlitz that are available already, or maybe even take a look at the config scripts and try to get them running. The skills are very basic here. It's really user level, no programming skills needed. You need to be a little bit technically interested because the RaspiBlitz is a project that isn't kind of doesn't start from the consumer perspective. It really starts a little bit more from the geeky, the people that like to run tech, and especially some services from their home, run a Bitcoin node from home, and like a little bit have a tinkering interest here. Early adopters, people that like to give feedback on stuff. So what you can do is, of course, if you see something that could work better, and sure, there's a lot of stuff that could work better, please feel free to go to the GitHub, create an issue, and this is mostly then a feature request. Or would it be nice that if this can do that, or if this would be changed in the other kind of way? You just describe a little bit what you saw, and then you freely try to express what you like to see. I have to warn you, we cannot, it's not an order list. So if you write something, don't expect it will automatically be implemented by us, because our team is also quite limited on time. But at least you can show this idea to us, to more core developer team, or even to other people that are watching the issues. And maybe somebody get inspired by this and maybe connects to you then on that. And maybe you find a partner to partner up to build on that feature. So that could be very, very nice. Then there's if something's not working. So classic error reporting. That's something we also learn a lot. A lot of features are very experimental. Even kind of standard features can sometimes break. So this is the point where you then create an error report, and I will show you in the next slide a bit how you can maybe add a debug report to it, so that we can get a little bit insight what may be wrong with your machine or on your RaspiBlitz there. Then connect one part of this kind of contribution is also connect to the teams, to the other projects that are building the additional apps. Because one goal of the RaspiBlitz, because it came from this, or it comes from this background of the Fulmo Lightning Hack Days, a lot of people building other apps there in the Lightning ecosphere, and we try to integrate them on the RaspiBlitz, or other people contributed them to the RaspiBlitz, and then you can try them out. And to give those teams feedback is also it's a contribution to the project, because it's the idea of connect you to all these new features, this new experimental software that you can then, through you running it at home, you have experience with that, connect to those other GitHub projects out there that we have kind of as part of the RaspiBlitz. And then also a great contribution is to help out on error reports. So just for example, if you're on the RaspiBlitz GitHub, you can see those are these you can watch it. And you can give, first of all, you can give it a star. You can like the project. It's always good. But then take a look at this watch thing over here, this select menu over here. So normally you will be just notified if somebody mentions you, but you can really put it here, turn it here into watching. So we will not be notified by all conversations happening on the issues. That maybe get a bit spammy. So it depends really on your kind of how you like it. But if you really like to why not? I've run the RaspiBlitz now for some time, and I think I understood some parts. So then maybe just go into this watching mode here and just monitor a little bit what issues are showing up, and maybe on this one issue or the other issue, you can help out other users to get them going or answer a question. That's very good contribution there. Then, of course, and that's kind of always a good starting contribution, is like correct the typo. And you can directly do this on the GitHub, on the web page. You don't have to be kind of know all the kind of how do I use Git on my laptop or something. You can really start there, very kind of low barrier. But first of all, let's quickly show you how to generate a debug report. So for the case that you see an error and you want some help on an issue, it's always good to have a debug report. So if you go in the main menu, you always have those kind of menus. If you log in with SSH on your RaspiBlitz, you have those kind of SSH GUI menus. You go under repair, and then you see the repair options. And if you here select software, you will generate a debug report. So just on your terminal, then you see a lot of text scrolling through. And what you can do is you can use this information over here. In the end, you have to go to terminal then for that to post the complete report to our Termbin, and then just post a link on your issue, or you just scroll up and find the part of the debug report that's maybe of focus for you. So if your LND is not running, post the LND. There's a section then here in the debug report where you can see the LND logs, and just maybe post that section of text into the error report. That's very helpful even for us and also for other people to maybe get a quick view and see an error message. And this is always what we need to then help you in detail on your problem. Another thing is like, and this is what I wanted to show you, is like contribution, make a pull request. Like this is really something where you change a little bit of code on the RaspiBlitz code base on the GitHub. You don't need to kind of be, again, to have how Git works on your laptop. You can do it all on the website for little small stuff. And the classic is, oh, I see a typo somewhere on my RaspiBlitz or in the menu, and I want to correct this typo, because I'm not a native English speaker, so I would make for sure some typos, and people find them and are very happy that people find them. So what you can do, and it's quite simple, you are on the GitHub, on RaspiBlitz GitHub, and then you maybe, for example, there's no HDD found, and you say, no, it's not an HDD, it's an SSD nowadays or something. You want to change this. You put this little string that was shown and you want to change here in the search bar, and then you go search just in this repository, and it will give you kind of a matching. You will see in which kind of files this string is mentioned, and then you just on the string, for example, here, if you here on this file on the README, for example, you can find this little edit button here, and when you click that one, you will get a kind of text editor in the web browser. You can correct the typo, and then you can propose this change, and you can just say, okay, I want to save this kind of, or let the developers know, create your pull request here, and then you will. It's always good to have some description on there, so please at least let us a little bit know this is a typo correction or something. Propose the change, and then you will get another screen that will ask you if you want to know from this change, create a pull request to the project, and you simply just do this, create pull request. Maybe one thing to check out, there are different branches. So of course there's maybe a master branch there, but sometimes it's always good to, if you have something new or corrected, to maybe check if you can see the latest development branch, for example, version 1.6. If this is the latest, then correct this typo to this branch. This is also interesting for all the other kind of pull requests, advanced pull requests you maybe then do on the code. It would be best to always have this kind of matching against the development branch. Much easier for us than to merge it in and don't have conflicts there. So this is kind of the first step of contribution. And I think this is very easy for everybody to join. So now let's level up a bit. The next the level is the experiment. So you have this RaspiBlitz there. You can log in per SSH. And then if you then exit to terminal, you have a console there and you can do whatever you can normally do with a Linux system. And you can say, oh, I like this other project, for example, there. Like you can try to get another app running. And what you just do, you follow the tutorial on this other project, how to install it on your system on a Linux server, and you just try this maybe, and that's the point. If you really have a good node with much Satoshis on there, don't experiment on that one too much. It's maybe nice to set up a second node there for experimentation, but normally just trying a little bit stuff out should not be a big problem there. And then just go through this and see if you can get it running. This is kind of the idea, like try to get an additional app running or change some configuration of the systems. If you have something in the system that you need to like to have changed, just try it out if you can change it, and just change it for yourself, for your running RaspiBlitz. Also, like you can try to connect different hardware or see what else, maybe exchange. Some people try to exchange the LCD that's on the node for e-paper or something. So there's a lot of ways here to go. Maybe to put some takeaways, some good to knows. The RaspiBlitz is based on Raspberry OS, Raspbian, and it's based on Debian. So if you know the flavor of Linux, so if you're used to Debian, that's good to know. The Bitcoin D is running as the Bitcoin user, as a separate user, and you find Bitcoin kind of installs running on the HDD or the SSD. This is in this path. There's also the LND running as Bitcoin user, and you find it under this path, mount HDD LND. If you want to try to connect with LND, it's good to know that we have the standard ports here that you can use. For RPC, you use the 1009 or at least 10,009, if you call it that way. And on the REST port, the REST API you should find on 8080. And then if you need the macaroons and TLS certs to connect other apps to it, take a look either in these directories here in the LND directory and find where they are, or even take a look if you want to export them and put them into a configuration somewhere. Always remember those can change maybe later on. So maybe just copying them is not always the best practice, but for a first start, why not? Check out in the SSH menu, there's a point called LND creds, and there's an export section where you can then download or get the macaroons as a string, something. Those can be helpful here. The outcome in the end, so if you're in this experimentation phase, even if everything is happening on your RaspiBlitz, it would be nice to share your experience. So just open up an issue on the GitHub and let us know, hey, I got this running on my RaspiBlitz. Is anybody interested here to make this more standard or something? So try to let us know. Maybe you find somebody else, partner up with somebody else, and can kind of go deeper into that topic and level up to the next kind of section. And the next section would be create an install script. There's a harsh reality. You have to learn about RaspiBlitz if you try to customize it, because with every update, every time you put in a fresh SD card and let it kind of recover, it will have a fresh, clean system. So all your kind of changes that you did before are gone. Now, this is hard. But this is a little bit like, it's a little bit pressuring people into developing an install script. So, Okay, what you do is like we prepared a part. So everything that's stored on your hard drive, of course, on your HDD, on your SSD, that stays where it is. So all the data, all your Lightning channel data, that's everything is safe on the hard drive. But on the SD card, that's really a fresh SD card you put in, and the SD card at the moment is running the system. So any changes to the system, any installed apps, that will be kind of be reinstalled on the recovery process that is happening during the update. But at the end of this recovery process, it will execute this little script over here. That's at the moment, if in your normal system, this is an empty shell script, but you can fill it with your own commands. So if you did changes on your RaspiBlitz and you want them to be kind of reinitiated or redone at every update process, go on your hard drive in the app data directory. This is there where the most precious data lives. Go into this custom install script and put the kind of commands in there to all these modifications, try to put them into kind of an orderly fashion into a shell script. There's one condition that's important to know. It should run, this shell script, once executed, should run without user interaction. I know there are some commands out there, even apt-get will ask you if you really want to install this package, use apt-get, for example, with those dash yes, with the dash J, no, yeah, I think, no, with the yes parameter. So that will be not asking you for it. It will just install the package. All those little things is maybe something to look up, but don't hesitate to ask questions about this on the GitHub and ask us about it. So we were very helpful here to get your custom install script right, at least what you need to know to do this. So once you have this install script, you really reach the goal to put your experiment into kind of a description, into a kind of orderly fashion. So this time, every time you update the system, it will execute this install script and make all your changes again to the system. So you have no problems updating the RaspiBlitz. Maybe under the condition, it could be, of course, that the RaspiBlitz changes something crucial, and then maybe your install script is not running anymore. This can happen, of course, but normally, I know it's a moving target a bit, but most of the changes should be fine. So the good thing is, so if you once have this, you can test it, then your install script with just putting in a fresh SD card, see if this runs cleanly through and all your changes are there after the update. If something was not working, you can check out this one file you find after the update if you log in home admin RaspiBlitz recover.log. This is kind of all the outputs, and even you can do echo outputs or whatever, like here in the custom installs, and then you should see it. And if there's any error normally that was outputted, it should be on the custom script in the log here, so you can maybe get a hint why it was not running and improve it. Once you got it running, and this is the outcome of this level, so how you can get your kind of finishing this kind of level of degree here is like contribute this shell script back to the GitHub. You can just make again an issue and open an issue there and say, oh, now I got my experiment into a shell script. Look here, maybe somebody can help me now get to the next level. One little remark here, of course, make sure that there's no sensitive data in your custom install script. If you share it on the GitHub, if you have some API keys in there or something, just be aware of this to redact this information before you share the shell script, and let people know they have to insert their API keys there. So this is the level of doing your install script. You already leveled up low. And what's the next level? The next level is the config script. This is now the point where you have a recipe how to get changes running on your RaspiBlitz. This is now trying to move this shell script into something other people also can use. And this is also the point where you normally start to work on a forked repo. So you will really kind of check the repo. You will have forked the project on the GitHub, and then connect your RaspiBlitz kind of to it and sync your RaspiBlitz with that your forked repo. You try then to create this custom this config script, and you try it out, and you make a step-by-step development. I will show a little bit in detail there how you best do this. Where you will work is when you look at home admin config scripts. That's the place where you will find all the config scripts that try to install bonus apps or try to change something on the configuration of the system. This is the place where we try to have all those little toolkits that you can use, and also the SSH menu later is using and executing to change your system and install or deinstall additional apps. The basic functions you should aim for a config script is on and off. So for example, if you have an additional app, there should be a parameter on that installs it, and there should be a parameter off that deinstalls it and makes maybe not completely clean, but then that you can reinstall it again and that it's working again. So that you can, and the off should always have that it's not active anymore. Nothing should be active from this additional app then when you turn it off. Those are kind of basics parameters you aim for if you build a config script. And then you will start maybe to, a config script should also do is like change the configuration. So there is at mount HDD, you will find the RaspiBlitz.conf. This is where all config scripts should kind of store their parameters. So if you turned on an additional script, an additional app, there should be a notice now in the RaspiBlitz.conf that this extra app is on. So the next time there's a recovery or something that the recovery script can see, oh yeah, you want to have the script on, so I kind of trigger now the this install script. And important also is save all your precious data from this additional app, or if you create extra data, a database or something else that you want to keep between updates, make sure to store this in the app data directory. Maybe make a subfolder there. Then of course you have to take care about that the rights are set correctly, the file permissions, all this little stuff, but you can always take a look how other config scripts are doing this and just learn from them. The last part of kind of finishing your config script is like making it part of the recovery process. So again, when the update is running, in the end, this script will called home admin and the bootstrap provision shell script. And this is one that is really just going through. You just add a section mostly at the end that will then just check, oh, is in the config, is my additional app switched on? Then I will trigger this script again to reinstall it on a fresh updated recovering system. Those are kind of the basics. There's of course a lot of stuff you can add to custom scripts, to config scripts, but we will see this on the next level, maybe what's important there. Again, and this is now the interesting part, if you make, now you can really make a really more complex pull request. Once you have your config script, even if it's in the first kind of version and you like the other people to test it out, you can make a pull request then from your fork repo to the RaspiBlitz repo and really commit all those little changes you did. And then we can take a look at it, try it out at our RaspiBlitzes, development RaspiBlitzes, and see if this fits for the next release, or give you advancing information how you can finish or make your config script ready, so that we can put it then for the next release there. And then if it's there in the next release, other people can try it out. And that's the nice part then, where you really can get into interaction with other people. What's important, and just to quickly let you know, is how, as I was telling you, you now start getting into the mode where you link your forked repo with your RaspiBlitz. You try stuff out and you run directly test stuff on your RaspiBlitz, and to get it, you want to connect it there, and you maybe do the development there, like your environment where you develop, you do this on your laptop, right? So the idea is a little bit like I have my fork repo, check out on my laptop, I do there my changes to develop this config script, and then I push it to my forked repo, and then I go to my RaspiBlitz and I want to sync my forked repo with my RaspiBlitz, and then I want to try this stuff out, how it's working. It's not the most kind of sophisticated way to do it, but it's kind of a solid way to do it. And to connect your RaspiBlitz with your forked repo, you can go in the SSH menu. You can go to patch. There's a section called I think there's even called update. Maybe there's a typo in there, but update or patch. I think go update, patch menu, and then you will find you can set the repo and the branch that you want to sync your RaspiBlitz with. So you just use your username on GitHub for the repo, and then you let it know I want to work here on a special branch for my special feature I'm programming. So just try this out. And once you connected your RaspiBlitz with your own repo, then you're in exactly in this routine. You change stuff on your repo, you commit to that repo, and then you sync it, and you can simply with the command patch. If you're on the terminal, normally if you try stuff out on your config script, you're already on the terminal. You just have this one command called patch. You just type this into the terminal, and then it will trigger the sync with the repo and the branch you have set up here, and then you can try out your changes. You run, test, and then you repeat this process until you're kind of you think it's good and you like to make a pull request. Some things to know maybe at this stage. There's another file beside the config that is called that you find in home admin RaspiBlitz.info. This is the place where it's more like temporary state information you can find about the RaspiBlitz, and for example, where you can set a stage mode, and then you can display, and then the RaspiBlitz will display stuff on the LCD or stuff. So this may be an interesting file to take a look at if you build if you config script. You will see also other config scripts are kind of importing this as a source, so they have some information about the system. Every additional app should run its own user. This is just to keep them a little bit separated, and that so we can be a little bit separated on the file permissions and things like that, so that if there's maybe in some script something bad or evil code or something installs a dependency, goes rogue or something, that it's maybe not affecting the complete system. So it's just the idea, it's a good practice to have to run additional apps in separate users here. Also, there is the possibility there to don't copy the LND macaroons. We have something set up there, but we can show it then in detail if you're interested, so that you can add your user to a special group, and this group then with this group, the user has access, for example, just to the README macaroon or maybe to the admin macaroon. So to have also this a little bit separated and a little bit more under control what is be accessed here on the permissions on your Lightning node. And then if your additional app has a web UI, so that you can then afterwards a little server that you then can call on locally, and you have can you open up in your browser like other apps are doing it, like SonderHub or RTL or BTC Pay Server. They all kind of have web UIs, right, that give you for the user interaction. For those, you should look into the topic of using the engines that we have running. Those are a kind of central serving server in our SSL proxy, so that you can put those web UIs then behind our SSL. So we can use HTTPS encryption there, and you can even utilize our benefits with running stuff behind Tor, or then even behind the IP2 Tor and Let's Encrypt infrastructure we have with the RaspiBlitz 1.6 to make your web UI, if this is of interest for your project, available to the outside easily for people and with their simply normal web browsers they have on the desktops and the mobile phones. Okay, so next level. So we're almost kind of on master level here. So this is the SSH GUI. So this is in the end the moment where your config script reached a certain maturity. So maybe some other people in the community tested it. It got good feedback. People are interested in it, and maybe even it has already some improved resilience, so that it's really running stable on reinstalls and on update processes, so that we can really see that it's a little bit over the very, very early tester, so that we can see there is some usage of it and there is some interest there for people to have this really more easily available and more like it, that everybody can just switch it on over the SSH menus. That's the kind of goal, to have it in the SSH GUI. So this is then the point where the skills really already a little bit developed, right? We are now with GitHub, advanced bash shell scripting, and have to know a little bit like how you use tools like Dialog or Whiptail. Those are the tools that creating those SSH menus. It's not that hard to understand, but it's just something you have to maybe take a look at. But you can also take a look at other config scripts, how they are doing it. And then we can have it. We can, if it's an additional app, we can put it under services so that people can just click in to install it. If it's something to change, it can be it's changing the system settings. It can get under settings. If it's even a subscription, this is a special concept, something that we introduced recently. Then it may be interested also to integrate it into that area. So there's different areas where to integrate into SSH GUI, depending on what your contribution here is. But we can help you on figuring that out. But what you should have, if it's an additional app, it should have a status menu, so, or at least a status information. So this you have on, off, and now you need a status, so you can maybe see a little bit more about information about this app. And this can be then integrated as into the main menu. So because every additional app should then get an entry in the main menu, so people, when they install it, can easily call it and at least see how to use it and get some hints there. If it's very easy, it's maybe not a complicated status page, but it should give you something there. And then it would be great at this point, at the latest, if it connects or integrates into the debug logs. As you saw earlier, there is just to create a debug log, and if people have errors with apps they just installed or something, to help them, we need a little bit information about this app. So this is an idea to how to there's this debug script, and you just need to add your little passage there. You check if it's installed, and then you maybe you print out some logs. Not all the logs, please, that will be too much, but at least the last kind of logs and some information how to get more logs. That's kind of the basics for the debug logs there. And so that we can decide then, if you created this SSH GUI extension, this would be then something, if we add it then to the next release, this also means a little bit, it would be great if you then put some effort into some commitment for documentation, maybe give some initial support, at least in the beginning. And then when there's updating, and updating gets more complicated than just kind of increasing a version number, then it would be great also to have you available and at least ping you on the GitHub or mention you on the GitHub to let you know, hey, can you maybe take a look here? If we see features that are not where we cannot reach people anymore, or we can see they're getting broken, or they're working not anymore with latest LNDs or Bitcoin versions, then it can happen that we deprecate features there. But we are very welcoming you to integrate it to that level. But you will get the feeling for this if you go level step by step up, if this is worth going into an SSH GUI there. In the end, you make again a pull request, and we will see if we can add it to the RaspiBlitz repo and the next release. That's almost like that. The SSH GUI is already like master. So now we just want to prepare you maybe already for ninja level here. So this is looking a little bit into future, maybe into the direction of RaspiBlitz 2.0. The goal is to introduce now step by step also a web UI for RaspiBlitz, like you can maybe see on even other projects, like you maybe see on the Casa, or you maybe see on the MyNote. This is something then maybe for more from the customer perspective, giving people an entry level here. So this should work on top of the SSH menu. So and give you, for people that are maybe not that techy. So so projects, the idea is a little bit like features that kind of emerged through all those levels, and we see really people love it on the SSH level to have this feature around. We will also try to get it into the web GUI, of course. So if it's working fine in the SSH world, we want to make it available in the web GUI. The idea a little bit is like to reduce complexity. So the idea is to learn, if it's on the SSH level, it's good to have a lot of options you can maybe configure with this app. It makes stuff complex maybe in the supporting level, so always think what you may be starting there. But on the SSH level, that's cool, because this is for people to tinker and to have a lot of options. And then if it was running for a certain time, you will find out what are the most common use cases people use your additional app or your feature. So then the idea is maybe in the, you can still use all the features when you in SSH world, but for the web GUI world, maybe dumb it down a bit to the basic use features. You really see the normal user, the customer, maybe a little bit more would kind of in the end use. and maybe cut it down, the feature set, what you can set on the web GUI to that kind of level, to make it not too complicated what you do on the integration. So this is a little bit where we might go into the 2.0 direction with RaspiBlitz. Just to let you know, your config script we at least thinking about this, to use this config script also for the API backend for this web GUI. So there will be some web GUI built in JS, and it will have some AJAX call doing to the backend to an endpoint on the RaspiBlitz. It will all happen locally. This is it's not built for scaling big because it just has one user, that's you. This is for adminning. It's an admin web UI, so this doesn't need to be highly performant or high scalable. So we can maybe just think about, to make it very easy, to just have a small wrapper that just calls your RaspiBlitz, your config shell script with some parameters here, and then just gives back what this config script spits out. And it would be best if the result then is a JSON, for example, that just can be passed back to the web GUI, and then this admin web GUI can react on it. It's just a concept where we're kind of tinkering on. If you have a good idea here, if you like maybe even to work on this wrapper structure, let us know. This is something really in development, and we are definitely here for discussing it and for maybe onboarding people even into developing it. And then there is the config shell script should at least turn out to have this JSON or key value output. So this is also, if you start maybe a config script, already maybe think to have one of those kind of always one of these outputs. So maybe keep also debug logs a little bit separated, put them into this in the standard error, and just on the standard out just values that would match JSON structure or key value structure, so that other scripts can more easily interact with it, and later on even the web UI backend can maybe utilize this. And yeah, also one thing to do here is if you reach that level, it's also something to do, consider an info screen and adding an info screen. As you know, the RaspiBlitz has this LCD screen. It's a touch screen, and as you can maybe see on Frankie's screen over there. And the idea is maybe also in the future to allow additional apps to have a specialized screen there, so you can maybe shuffle. If you install additional apps, you can maybe then on the LCD shuffle through different info screens. And maybe you can think about in the future to have a special screen there for your additional app that you install. Whatever makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, don't do it. But this is just an option that can be, if we're heading towards RaspiBlitz 2.0, this could be something that could be available there to have it. And you will see those kind of developments, at least towards the web UI. You will start seeing this, I think, with a 1.8. I think with a 1.7, we will still have some other stuff to prepare, but we're starting to prepare step by step in this direction. But again, this is already ninja level. If you get it to the other level, like if you already have an SSH config script, SSH menu config script, that's already great. So then you made it. You contributed a big chunk to the RaspiBlitz. But again, all those levels are there for you. Again, maybe I showed them in the end quickly again, just to remember those are the levels, and you can really start low. It's no problem, and it's good. It's a good way to get started. And there's sometimes on the issues you can find stuff with good first issue or hackathon with a little label on it. Those are stuff, if you're looking for something, if you're looking for ideas, what to do, what to experiment with, and what maybe to turn into an install script or config script, that's something to start. Just take a look there, what issues are already there. There's a lot of issues out there. And again, it's a little bit a mess because you have feature requests, you have error reports, or something. And now we're not maybe we'll have some more structure in the future, but in the moment you have to live with a little bit more chaotic way. But you will find those with those labels, you will find stuff, ideas to work on, to inspire you, what other people maybe like, and feature requests to go in there. So far, I think from my side for part one, everything. Anybody else on the team likes to add some information there? Something I missed, or maybe something to show a little bit more in detail?
I can do a little go through of an example install script if we don't have many questions.
Yeah, but no, I haven't checked social media, so don't sure if there's questions out there. So maybe just I think we have still about 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, if you can see some details, it would be great. I think some So a config script, for example.
OpenArms, do you need to share your screen?
Yeah,
yes,
so,
yes, please.
okay,
So
I will stop my
over.
screen sharing here.
Okay. So I'm just showing you the install script for the new arrival, one of the web GUIs, which is called ThunderHub. It's a similar kind of application to RTL, which has been the first kind of web interface on the RaspiBlitz, and it has a quite well commented install script. So just we'll go through it. You can see that it's on the GitHub. It's under, and on your node as well. It's under the home admin directory /config scripts /bonus.thunderhub.sh. That is usually the common way to kind of name these things. So it's obviously ends with sh because it's a bash script. As we can see in the first line, it's the shebang, so the system knows that it is a bash script. So it starts just with a little bit of info. When you just call the script in itself, it tells you that what can you expect from it. So it is a config script to install, update, or uninstall the ThunderHub application. And then these are the possible options to switch it on, off. It has a menu function, and it has an update menu as update function as well. So obviously someone is see that these lines starting with a hash are not interpreted by the bash programming language, or so they are not a command. They are, rather than being run, they're just being read by the user. It's a comment, and by my kind of VS Code IDE, it does turn out to be green as well. So this is where we are commenting inside the code, try to explain what does happen. So the next thing is that we have a look in this RaspiBlitz info, what is going on, what status is the node is in, like it's in middle of recovery, or there is some state where we would need to progress or stop. And then there is a which being preserved during updates, so we can know if a service is supposed to be on or off on a reinstall, for example. And if this is missing, then it throws an error. Straight away that thing is wrong because this file is not there. And then we get to the first thing. I mean, we could do these if statements with functions, but it seemed to be been done things. But that is the same way functional. So here is the menu function, or like if statement. So if you call the config script with the menu option on the end, then this will show. And this is what appears in the main menu. And then you can see that it pulls some values, like what is your IP, what is the Tor address, the hidden service address belonging to the service, and then tells you about an SSL certificate fingerprint. And then you can see it shows different things if the node is running behind Tor, or else if it doesn't run behind Tor but on ClearNet, then over address, and then it exits if the user presses OK. Once we are, or before we install, we need to make sure that there is a ThunderHub entry in the RaspiBlitz configuration file. That's what happens here. And then we stop the systemd service before doing anything with the application itself. And then here comes the time when it would be installed. So when we call it with like go to ThunderHub sh1 or on, then this starts to run, which is a couple of steps. So basically, we need to get the dependencies right. This is needing the Node.js programming language to be installed to interpret the ThunderHub code. And then here is where the ThunderHub user, a dedicated user for this service, is created. And then we download the source code from the GitHub with git clone under the ThunderHub user. And then obviously always changing into the right directory. And then this is an important part where we do update the version. So if you want to install to a separate, like newer version, or something is wrong and you want to go back, then when you reinstall, you would need to edit this kind of version number to get, you know, higher, lower. There's a little display for what's going on with the echo. So it's running the npm install. This takes some time usually. This is when the application is built from source, and then we are coming to make the default configuration quickly. So we just make sure that it's all clean, and then basically, instead of copying the macaroons, we just give it access through the Linux permissions, and that is done with a symlink to give it the path, and then it gives the permission to read by user into this LND admin group, which then will allow it to read the macaroons, so it can communicate with the LND, the Lightning node itself. And we also set up a directory, again an important path, on the disk in /appdata and ThunderHub. This will be a directory where the settings and passwords are stored, and also will be preserved during updates. This is now getting into the weeds of the ThunderHub specific configuration options. If you go on the ThunderHub GitHub, for example, you would see that you would need to create an env.env file, which will create, as with our preferred settings, with the dark theme, currency as Satoshis. We don't really want anything which would hurt our privacy, so we don't do outside calls, and and what happens here is that this is created under the user, under the home admin default kind of path, and we move it to, after removing the possible old file lingering there, we move it to the appdata directory again, which we created before, and that is dedicated for ThunderHub, and symlink it. So simulate a link under the ThunderHub directory, so it will find it there easily. And then there is another configuration file. Again, this is ThunderHub specific. The interesting thing here is that we use the password B to log in to authenticate this web interface, and that is being the password B, what the authentication is done with. So kind of take it from the Bitcoin conf file, if the network is Bitcoin. So yeah, this is just being read out of there, and that you need to know that Bitcoin RPC password, which is will be given as the master password in the config file. And then happens the same, that we move this thing under the ThunderHub user for it to find it. And then here comes another trick, which is the integrated with Nginx, which is our SSL web server. And basically we have a pre-made file under this path, then copied to the right directory, and then it will be available for the Nginx web server to read. And then we do it with all kind of configurations, which is only SSL. We serve through Tor via Nginx as well, and then there is an encrypted service under through Tor with Nginx as well. So that's the three things. And they have a little firewall running on the node, so we just open that for the port we want to have ThunderHub available on. which is namely 3010 and 3011 for the ClearNet and for the encrypted HTTPS connection. Next step is to install the systemd service. This is very standard. Basically, just need to give it the path and give it the command to run with the port we specified. And what we do here is start the service once the install script has successfully exited, and it will be started from another part of the menu. Again, we now tell to the RaspiBlitz configuration that it's been installed, and also another thing is to create a hidden service for it in the tor.c file, which is done by the script, and we just it's because the script is already done by naming the service and giving it which port need to go where. So basically, the 3012 will open on port 80, and the 3013, which is the HTTPS port over Tor, will open at 443 on the Tor address. This will come handy to the Tor to IP service, which we go into later. And then this is the end of the install script. So exit 0 means that we are exiting without errors. So that's it in quick. I think, I mean, removing it is just the same thing backwards and much less complicated. And the update script is just what we do basically from the ThunderHub GitHub. So that is it. I think I've used all the time available as well, so I would stop here.
Yeah,
and
right on time.
Yes. So yeah, so that was just an example of script which you can look at if you want to set up a new service. Then you can follow the structure and change what is obviously different.
Awesome. All right. Well, that was the first section. That was contributing to RaspiBlitz. Russell, Frankie, OpenArms, do you have anything else you want to add, or should we transition to a quick break?
I think a break would be good, a short break, and then we get into the second part with OpenArms, right?
All right. Very cool.